everybody. We're here at the 3:30 session with Kim Case. Is that correct, Kim? Case?
That's correct.
Oh, great. And we're ready to get started. I just want to go over some of the tools of the Blackboard Collaborate Room for you so that you can participate if Kim asks us to do so. Everybody see the chat window down at the, well, depending on where you have it, I suppose. The chat window is where you can type in your questions, and I will be monitoring and looking in there and help Kim notice when people have a question. The participants window, you can move that around, you can resize it, you can do that at your most convenient way to see who all is participating today. And at the top, maybe the most important for some of you, is the audio and video window. Remember, you can grab any of these windows and stretch them and size them to your best use, particularly the audio if you're using Angela's services. The participation buttons should be down the right side of the windows. And if Kim asks for us to participate, don't forget that you'll use those to do so. Just want to say welcome to everybody, and let me introduce Kim. Kim has been an educator and a technology specialist for over 20 years after she graduated from the University of Texas at San Antonio with a BA in elementary education. She has an MS in Learning and Technology from Western Governors University. She's a Discovery Education Star Educator and serves on the Texas Leadership Council for the Discovery Education Network. In 2006, Kim became a National Board Certified Educator in the area of technology education. She's a Fable Vision Ambassador, was nominated for the 2005 Disney Teacher of the Year Award, and she was named the 2003 Digital Teacher Award from Digital Knowledge Curriculum, which is now Discovery Education, because she has great use of digital media in the classroom. She recently published her book, Gamification and Mystery Adventure Quests, called Kid Detectives, Classroom Gamification Learning. Little plug for you there, Kim. But we welcome you, and you can take it away.
Great. Thank you so much. And if at any time you can't hear me, I'll be monitoring the chat. So hopefully if something comes up, just let me know in the chat or interrupt me at any time. Thank you all for joining today. I'm so glad to be part of the conference, and I thank Connie and all of the volunteers for all that they've done. And I'm going to be sharing with you today about connecting classrooms through global projects in leaps and bounds. And right now, I'd like to know where everybody is joining from. Most people will be probably from Texas, but if you're able to click on the second tool in the whiteboard tools just to the right of the participant window, and then click and indicate your location on the world map. Sometimes you have to click it twice. You can also type in the chat like Peggy's doing. Welcome from all over. I'm grateful that you're able to join me this afternoon. And thank you so much. Let's go ahead and go on to our next slide. And I want to invite everybody to participate in this session by sharing your comments in the chat, sharing links to the work that you're doing, sharing your questions that you might have that come up during the session. If you can answer the question, I'd love for you to share your answer to the question and share tweets out. And I'd like you to use my hashtag, my Twitter name, or global projects, either one, and the conference, the PD, the Texas BSN one as well. And all of this the information that I'm going to be sharing with you today is on my blog at kimcase.com, as well as I put all of the resources in a live binder, and there's the link to the live binder. But if you go to kimcase.com and scroll down, you'll see the slides. You can follow along with those slides, or you can just participate in here and follow up with the slides at a later time and download them later from my blog. But I encourage you to participate as much and as often as you can throughout this session. So let's get started and talk about why we would like students to participate in global projects. And it gives students exposure to other cultures and lets them see and hear about current events that they might hear in the news, see that live and hear about some of those things from another student's perspective. And it simulates authentic and meaningful projects that sometimes require teamwork and collaboration, which is going to be very beneficial for when they're on their job and gaining career readiness skills, acquiring those and being prepared, as well as increasing student achievement due to your increased audience that the students have. And the research to that statement is in the live binder and on my website. I embedded the live binder, so you can go to my website and have all of the resources right there at one spot. And I appreciate that, Peggy. Thank you so much. So when we learn that once we increase the audience that a student is participating with and for, their participation and their achievement greatly increases as well. So I'm going to start with web conferencing and talk a little bit about that and how you can do that with your group projects and global projects once you make connections. And then we'll talk about ways that you can connect with some global classrooms and make those connections. And I'm going to start with a brief overview of the webcasting, the types of web conferencing or webcasts that you can do with your students, and some web conferencing projects and tools to help you connect globally with other classrooms, whether it's synchronously or asynchronously. Back when I first started with web conferencing, it was the typical boardroom style with the H.323 protocol is what they used to call it, with the big expensive equipment. And that has evolved over time to a smaller, more mobile equipment, smaller equipment like a small webcam. And it's really great because the cost has come down and most classrooms can find the money to support the new technology that people are using today for the webcasting or web conferencing. So I'm going to talk about some of the past web conferencing projects that I've done with my students when I was a technology specialist and when I was in the classroom. And one of those I'm going to focus on and show you how we did was a 4th grade open mic session. We did some online Jeopardy competitions, and I'll show you the setup that we used for that. And this is the 4th grade open mic. What we did was we were preparing for the tax test. At the time it was tax, now it's STAR. And what we did was, it was the 4th grade writing test coming up. So we had the students write a composition and share different parts of it with another classroom. And we used Adobe Connect at the time and did a split screen so that our students could see, we could see one another at the same time that the student in the author's chair was reading their composition. And some things we found out were very important things that I'm going to share with you that are important to keep in mind when you do a web conferencing or webcasting. there are many, many options available now for you to host a web conference. And as you can see, we had all of the equipment on this cart and the student in the author's chair reading. And she was reading her composition. And we have the laptop, and there's a projector there. And we have speakers. We found that the speakers were really important for the students to hear. And you want to also make sure that what is seen on the camera is something that you're proud of seeing. And we had the camera just focused on the student in the author's chair. So a lot of the things behind the student, the other class wasn't seeing all the time, just some of the time. But you need to make certain that the students in the background are paying attention, and if possible, given something to do while so that they can be participating other than just sitting there listening. That kind of got boring after a while. So keep that in mind when you're structuring your web conferencing and meeting with classes. And make sure that you have staff that's involved, staff that's supporting you. It's really important, and it's really helpful when the staff supports what you're doing with their students and their class. At the time, this was our first one, we didn't have specific tasks, but when I get to the Jeopardy competition, you'll see why it's important for everybody to be following along and to be doing something so that they're not just sitting there. It's difficult when you're doing an open mic where students are reading. So you just want to make sure that when they're reading, they're doing shorter, some short sessions and not real lengthy. We also had them ask questions of the other class, of the other author in the other class. I did this with a class in the same school district that I was in, and we shared tasks and went back and forth with one of our students and one of their students in the two classes. And the students asked them questions. Why did you write that? That was a great statement. Or why did you choose this specific word? And we taught them how to critique and how to give feedback for future sessions. So things got better as we learned these skills and how to make sure that everybody participates and gets a chance to be on camera, even if they didn't want to volunteer to read their composition. But that was how we were participating and practicing for TACs at the time. And then the equipment. We found out after our first session that it's very hard to hear. So you're going to want to make sure that you have external speakers and an external microphone in addition to your webcam. The speakers that were in the laptop weren't enough to project for the whole classroom to hear. Sometimes the authors were soft-spoken, being that these were fourth graders, they were a little nervous. So make sure that you have external speakers and an external mic so that more of the sound is picked up through the mic. So I recommend that you go that route. And then practice and try it, and you'll get better each time that you do this. And then you can have helpers help you set up, and they'll know what to do as well, and they'll be able to help you. So these are some of the equipment. You don't need expensive webcams. We just used, it was $100, but you can use any type of webcam. It doesn't make a difference we found on the quality of the different webcams that we use. But I do recommend you can use one that's in the computer, but it's easier if you have one that's external so that you can move it around and maneuver it. Same with the speakers, and using the external speakers and an external microphone. The interior ones just weren't strong enough for webcasting and what we were doing. And then, of course, the projector, the LCD projector. You'll need that to project and some type of web conferencing setup. And this is the way we did the Jeopardy competition. Each classroom had 2 projectors, where one projected the classroom and the other projected the PowerPoint presentation that was a Jeopardy template that I created. And we shared that with each other, and we both shared that in the classroom. So we had the same Jeopardy PowerPoint in each classroom. And then we had a contestant row where 3 students would come down. This was from the math tax for 3rd grade. And the students would come down to the contestant row, and they would answer the question on a whiteboard and ring in a bell and show their answer to the camera. And the class that got the question right first is the one who got the point. And if they didn't get it right, then it went back to the other classroom to see if they got it right. And then if that person didn't get it right, anybody in contestant row in either classroom, then we went to the audience. And this is how we made sure the audience was participating, the audience meaning the other students. They also had to work every problem that contestant row did, so that everybody was participating. And I'm going to show you where I have the templates, where you can download all of the templates, and you can fill in the templates. And the 3rd grade math one that I did is present, and that's the one that I use, I believe, for the template. And I just put in 3rd grade questions that had to do with the standards for 3rd grade for the tax test at the time, and just put them in the template, and then we use that template. So I'll be sharing that with you in just a sec off a wiki that I maintain. And these are some of the web conferencing resources on this wiki. If you click on that page, there's a long, and this is only just part of the different resources that you can use to meet in a room together for your web conferencing or webcasting. There's a whole bunch more. And of course, if you have an iPad, there are ways that you can, different apps that you can share, including Skype and some other ones as well. So I encourage you just to explore that and find what works for your district and your campus with the purpose of whatever you're trying to accomplish in your web conferencing sessions. I also have some different resources if you're just wondering ways to structure, if you're wanting to take them on different virtual field trips, some resources for that as well. And I'll be talking about how we did some virtual field trips towards the end. All of that's on a resource on my wiki called the Case Files, and it's casefiles.wikispaces.com, and that link is in the live binder, and you can find all of this information on my website at kimcase.com. So you don't have to go writing everything down and chasing down all of these links. Everything's all set for you. And on the page that says Game Templates, these are the different templates, and there are some more down there that aren't showing. But you just download the PowerPoint and change the questions. And these are free for you to use and download and share with others, so that you can start out with low technology and get your feet wet with web conferencing and meeting up with other classes or around the globe that fit in your time zone. And you can use these for free. So I encourage you to explore that wiki and take and use whatever you feel comfortable with. And one of the ways to start is through gamification, like the PowerPoint templates or in Minecraft. Minecraft is a huge one where you can go in and build things. You can meet with other classes in Minecraft, similar to Second Life, but Second Life is more for older students. and it's not being used as much as it used to be used. It used to be the teen grid that used to be a big thing in the virtual world. But there's Quest Atlantis, and so all of these resources are in the live binder on my website at kimcase.com for you to look at and to review. And Minecraft is a great way to get students started in interacting with others from other classrooms. And the slides are on my blog site, so you can download the slides as well. And you can also save the slides, and I'll go through that at the end on how you can save the slides during the session. And some gamification resources for you. Of course, my book has a very brief overview, a very practical overview for just starting out, and one way of implementing gamification is through Mystery Adventure Quest, and that's what my book is about. The K-12 online conference that I was a part of, helping with the organization, had a strand that had several gamification and maker space and those types of things, of a session of 20-minute videos where the teacher, the educator would present. And so you can do a research on all of the past conferences, and there are several on gamification and ways you can get started with gamification in your classroom. And you don't necessarily need to use the web conferencing, but that is one way that you can get started. And the K-12 online conference had some great resources that were utilized, and out of that I found out about the gamified Wiki space, and that's something that Vicki Davis and some other colleagues, they got together and created that. So we know it's quality if Vicki Davis has her hand in it, and the other colleagues that she did that with, they did a presentation for the K-12 online conference, and it was a great, I think it was a Google Hangout that they did. It was great on gamification and ways to involve your classroom synchronously and asynchronously through different time zones and working with classrooms on the other side of the globe. So I encourage you to check out these resources. And the TED Talk by Jane McGonigal, she is an excellent resource and guru on gamification. And that's a great way to get started and get some background knowledge so that when you do implement these activities in your classroom, you have the background to, if you needed to express what's going on to parents and administrators, as well as to manage things in your classroom and create some really exciting different types of learning activities for your students. So let's talk about some of the different projects that you can join that various people host. One of them is Jen Wagner, and she's in California, and she hosts a lot of different projects, primarily for the pre-K through 6th grade classrooms, and they are worldwide. She does do this synchronously and asynchronously, different projects. So I encourage you to check out her website, and that's in the live binder, and it's on my website. And she has past projects that she's done that you can look at and see some of the things that she's done with other classrooms, as well as things that are coming up and how you can participate and join her project. So I encourage you to explore her website. She's got great things and is very, very creative. And Civil War Sally and Patriot Pete, Peggy George and I'm not sure if she's still in here. Hi, Vicki. We came across Civil War Sally, and basically when you write into Civil War Sally, oh great, Peggy, and you ask for the bear to be traveling to your classroom, and then when you go on a field trip or some type of event, you take the little Civil War Sally bear with you, and you take pictures of what Civil War Sally does with your students, and then you send back the bear with your pictures and you share the adventures that Civil War Sally or Patriot Pete went on with your students. So Sylvia Tolosano does something similar to this with Around the World, and they use a different type bear, but it's the same kind of process. You send back and you share all the different places that Civil War Sally or Patriot Pete went to. Kids love it, and they really enjoy sharing what they did with the bear. The next one is 21st Century Schools, and what I liked about this is they talk about on their website guides to global projects and ways that you can start your own global project and projects that you can join. They have both, and resources for both if you're interested in starting both. And they just have some really great things and good information, guides, checklists, and so forth for if you're interested in starting your own and other projects that you can join with other schools around the globe. So I encourage you to explore that site and the different resources. They have lots and lots of resources about different global projects that you can participate in. And Kirki is similar. It's a repository more for uploading resources, but they do have groups that you can join that are based on topic or grade level. As you can see, they're revamping their website, but you can see that they have, so many members and visitors that hit, and all of the resources that they have that have been uploaded. And you can make connections to other classrooms here through the different groups and make those connections that you might want for a webcast or to design some different project. Similar to the flat classroom projects that Vicki Davis used to host, who's now Cool Cat Teacher. You also might know her by. She's a great educator and started that. And that's kind of how I got my interest in global projects, was through her. So it's great if you can find a mentor and a leader that's hosting and starting global projects like Jen Wagner or somebody who's familiar, and get your feet wet and learn the basics and then take it from there and really expand your curriculum with your students. And Kirki is one way that you can do that and meet in different groups. Similar with Epals. Epals, you can make connections as well, but they have a secure email system where you can connect and have, instead of a pen pal, an e-pal with another classroom around the globe. And you can join different groups and look for, if you want to have a specific topic or a specific grade range, you can look for that. And ePals is a great way to make those contacts. The Iditarod is a great resource, and they have lots and lots of information on ways that you can participate in the when the Iditarod is going on. There are different groups that you can join, and you can follow along specific racers, and the racers report back. They kind of keep a journal and send back information, and that information is shared with the community that participates in the event online. So it's really exciting for the students to see and kind of follow along with what's going on, and you feel like you're part of it with some of the activities that they do with the students. So I highly encourage you to explore that as well. The online Model United Nations is a great resource for middle to high school. They have a junior one as well for middle school students, but you can join, and then students are assigned different positions and take different parts and represent their country, and all of it's laid out, and it's very well organized, and all you have to do is join and then participate in the conversations. You can watch it or you can participate in it, either one, but I highly encourage you to explore it and see what's involved and see if they have past recordings and follow along with what they're doing. It's a really great model of how the United Nations meets today, and they're a great example and of collaboration, world and national collaboration. So you might want to explore that and take your students on a trip around the world through the United Nations and see what great things that they come up with and the things they discuss. Google Plus also, and I have the link in the live binder on my website. The Google Plus Hangouts are sponsored obviously by Google Plus, and they're structured, and they kind of revamped the way they did things, so you kind of have to track it down. But there is a link in the live binder to their page with information on joining their virtual field trips. And virtual field trips are a great way for your students to participate. And Ball State used to host several great ones in conjunction with Best Buy, and we used to participate in those a great deal. And you can take your students around the world without leaving your classroom with a virtual field trip, and really expose your students to some unique things and unique opportunities, like with the Google Plus Hangouts and the virtual field trips. There are some great things that Google is sponsoring and that other people have taken on with the Google Hangout and taken them on the road and shared those with students around the world. So these have been some really exciting virtual field trips. And the way we used to do virtual field trips is we would just show them in the different classrooms that wanted to participate. We'd show it up on the screen. And this one's called Eruption. It was regarding the volcanoes in Hawaii. And basically you would have, and not in this picture, but they had some experts with some students who were interviewing the experts, and you used to be able to call in and ask your question. And one of our students was one that was selected to call in and ask the expert a question about something about the mountain or the volcano that they were standing on, how high it was, what the elevation was. And we were real excited that we got to participate live. But then they had some technical difficulties, and the live calls had to stop, and then you had to put in your questions in through their system online. But either way, it was live, and the students got to see the actual volcanoes and the volcanic ash and how the vegetation was live up close. And it was really exciting for our campus and our students to see that so close, and it made it seem real, especially with the students asking the experts questions. And Discovery Education also does some excellent virtual field trips that are really quality ones, and students really enjoy participating and watching. And again, you feel like you're right there with where in either resource that you use, they have some great things going on that they're doing now with these virtual field trips. And Skype in the classroom, Mystery Skype, that's becoming very popular. And Peggy George is one of the co-hosts of the Classroom 2.0 Live webinar series that's held on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Central Time. And it's held in a similar room as this in Blackboard. And their website is also in the live binder, but it's live.classroom20.com. And I encourage you to participate. And they've had several sessions that you can check the archives on Mystery Skype sessions. And basically what you do is you pair with another classroom somewhere, usually in the United States due to time zone constraints, and you give clues to the other class, and they have to see which class guesses for the location based upon the clues, like the vegetation, the precipitation, the temperature, and the elevation and the vegetation, all that stuff going on. And Mystery Skype is a great way for you to get involved and it takes very little to set up. You just connect through Skype, through your video. And one of the teachers, Paula Noggle, who has hosted this session and is in one of the archives at Classroom 2.0 Live, and she's assigned her students, everybody in the room has something to do. They have some type of assignment, whether it's to take pictures, whether it's to do research, whether it's to ask the question of the other classroom. That way every student's involved and participating, and you don't have anybody just sitting there or somebody off task and somebody who's not paying attention to what's going on. Everybody's involved and they're excited about learning, and they just come away with a greater sense of how big the world is and different parts of the world and parts of the nation. This is a really exciting way that you can get your feet wet and get started with another classroom. And Paula and Jan Wells have done lots and lots of presentations. So those are two gurus that you can tap into and ask them questions. And Ann Merchant, yes, from Australia, does a lot of these Mystery Skype activities. So I encourage you to explore Mystery Skype, what it's about. They expanded their website where they found out that this was going on, and the tool was being used in this manner. So they've created a Skype guide and just some things for to guide teachers in setting up a Mystery Skype, and a way that you can find another teacher or group that wants to participate. In addition to, you can use all of the other resources that I've also shared to find classrooms as well if you didn't find a match here at the Skype and the classroom site. And part of the Mystery Adventure web tours and Mystery Adventure quests that I came up with and then I created ended up with, if you couldn't take them on an actual physical field trip, then part of the virtual field trip was ending up with one of these panoramic tours. And I selected this one just as an example. But what you can do is you can view the Lincoln Memorial in 360 degrees, and it goes all the way around, and you can see all the way around it, all of the different intricacies. You can zoom in and zoom out, and you can really get up close, just like you were actually at the Lincoln Memorial. So when you're designing activities like a Mystery Adventure Quest or some type of activity, that ends up in a location and you can't necessarily attend that location, these panoramic field trips and different landmarks are really great. And they have virtual field trips that are set up that are panoramic as well, that are 360 degrees of all types of landmarks and locations throughout the world that you can go to and visit. So I encourage you to check that page in the Live Binder and explore some of those resources, because they're really, really unique and exciting, and the students really it may not be as exciting as actually being at the Lincoln Memorial, but because it's technology and you've done some pre-activities prior to the virtual field trip, they get excited just almost as much as if they were actually there, because of the way the 360-degree virtual tours are set up. So those are the things that you're going to want to, you can tour with another class through Skype or a web conference as well, and take them on a virtual field trip that way as well. And I want to leave you with this and see if there are any questions that came up that I might have missed. But before so, this is kind of the heart of why I do presentations and share with teachers things that I have learned throughout my 20 years in education. And the quote is, "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires." And this is by William Arthur Ward. So I hope that I've inspired you to take on some of these challenges and explore these websites so that you can implement global projects in your classroom, and you have resources and people that you can contact through the Live Binder. And let me put that link in one more time. But you can, again, you can find the slides, you can find everything that you need, all right from my blog, kimcase.com. You can download all of that information just from the blog post. If you scroll down, it has information about my book at the top, but if you scroll below that, it's the first blog post. And I put all of that there in one resource for you, so you don't have to go to all the different, you don't have to go to Live Binders, you don't have to go to SlideShare, you don't have to go anywhere. You just go right to my website, and everything's kind of compiled for you and presented so that you don't need to track all of these websites down that I've shared with you today. So if there are any questions that I missed, or you have a question that you would like to ask, you're welcome to do so. You can also email me at kcase@gmail.com at any time, and I am kcase on Facebook as well as Twitter. So send me a tweet if you have a question, or what was that resource? I couldn't find it in the Live Binder. I'll be happy to answer your question and answer your questions now if there are any questions before we dismiss and for the day. If there aren't any questions, which I'm not seeing any come through, then I want to thank you for your time. And thank you so much for joining me today. I know it's late in the afternoon on a summer day, so thank you for taking your time to join me and talk about global projects. And I hope to see you online. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Gosh, I can't wait to get to your website. How kind of you to organize it all for visitors and everybody to use. That's great. I am from a social studies background, so I was particularly liking your mystery Skypes for those basic geography skills, and the little Civil War Sally. Oh, that's great. I know there's a gingerbread man that makes the rounds in some of these interactive lessons and
Flat
things.
Stanley, yeah.
Flat
Similar
Stanley,
project.
that's it.
Yes.
But Civil War Sally, yeah, that's cool. Nice to see a girl on the move, huh? Well, thank you, everybody. Let me just go ahead and go to the conclusion slide. Big claps out to Kim for her presentation today. And I just want to remind everybody that there will be a recording of this session, so tell your friends if they missed it. Sometimes it takes a little while to get in the archive and on the link. So if you don't see it there today, then check back tomorrow. If you